What is going on, everyone? Welcome back in to College Football After Dark here on the Voice of College Football. It has been a couple weeks, so belated holidays and Happy New Year to everyone out there. We have a lot to talk about as we've got the national championship coming up tomorrow, dogs versus frogs. We have a lot to talk about. Have to make this if it wants to let me. National championship coming. There we go. That worked. A little background noise on my end. That's my fault. It wanted to load slowly. But dogs or frogs, so let us know in the comments who you guys got tomorrow, because it's going to be an interesting game. And then we're going to talk about some of the best bowl games this season, because there were a lot of nail biters. There were a lot of really, really good bowl games all across all the conferences. But before we get going, I want to do a quick shout out to what I am calling the Dakota Bowl of Frisco, Texas. And congratulations to the South Dakota State Jackrabbits on defeating the mighty North Dakota State Bison for their national FCS title. I don't know when their last one was, but congratulations to the Jackrabbits on that pretty dominant game earlier. It was a pretty dominant win, so congratulations to them. But let's move on to our panel that way. Direction challenge on the camera. Into John. Introduce yourself and let's go.
Thanks, Ben. Great to be back as always. My name's John Diadamo, aka One Scoop John. Here representing the great University of Michigan. Go Blue, and that's me.
I'm Tim Prangley. I am a USC alum and an avid Pac-12 fan. And you can find me on a couple of Mark shows throughout the week. Jordan?
Hey, guys. Glad to be back. It's been a minute. Happy to be back on here. This is Jordan. I am a member of the Clemson Voice of College Football channel, so check me out over there. That's where I post a lot of content, do a lot of live streams. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you check that out. And excited to talk about all this college football action. We got the most important game of the year coming up tomorrow, so I'm excited.
Hello, everyone. I am Will ND. I help out here at the Notre Dame Voice of College Football channel, and I also help run the Young Guns channel. And I am a diehard Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan.
Well, it's fantastic. One, the panel is here, but most of all, it's fantastic the viewers here as usual. You guys are what run the shows with your comments, as crazy or unrealistic as some of them maybe are. You guys are what run the show and help us and motivate us to be here every week doing what we do. So, what do we got on the tab tonight, there, John?
Absolutely. So we have been off for a few weeks, enjoying holidays and New Year's and everything else. And since then, there's been a few football games, including the college football playoff. So we start with Michigan. This is still really hard for me to say, but Michigan falling to TCU, 51-45. So I'm going to start this off and then ask the panel their thoughts. But essentially, most people on here watched it. Two pick sixes, Philly special, Blake Corum out with injury, and TCU just doing what they do, and just really, I think they played one of their best games. They capitalized on every single mistake that we made, and we made a hell of a lot of mistakes. Okay. And I think that Michigan beat itself a little, but also TCU is that good. And everybody on the earlier show, the people who were saying that Georgia's just going to stomp them and that it's just going to be whatever, I would think twice. But what do you guys think the keys to TCU winning that game and some of the idiocy that was the play calling? Your thoughts?
Well, watching that game, and I think one of the keys that a lot of people said, in order for TCU to win this game, they were going to have to get out to a really hot start. And I think they got exactly the kind of start that they needed in that first quarter. I mean, they set the tone with that pick six. It was a 41-yard pick six. And I think it really kind of, got the momentum going. You could tell that the TCU, sideline was really feeding off of that energy. And then it bled over to the offense and they were able to score. And then all of a sudden, just like that, it's, TCU's up 14-0. And I think really from that point on, I think for the most part, Michigan had outplayed TCU, but they weren't able to make up the difference. And I think that was kind of the big keys. And TCU made some really big and timely plays throughout the rest of the game that kind of kept Michigan at bay and kept them from, really taking control of the game. And so that was really impressive, from the Horned Frogs. I definitely did not expect I did not expect them to win. It wasn't going to surprise me if TCU had been competitive because, we know how explosive the offense is, and, Max Duggan is a Heisman finalist, but man, they really, all the plays that they had to make in that game, they did. And so that's a credit to them. They were really, they made some really opportune plays when they needed it in order to secure that victory. So really impressive win for TCU.
Another thing I think that's really that TCU had that helped them win this game is that they believed they could win. Like, they believed that they belonged in the same field in Michigan. And a lot of teams, like 2020 Notre Dame, did not think that they belonged with Alabama. And Kelly just coached that game not to get blown out, to try not to get completely embarrassed on the score line. But TCU, they're going in there and they're going for the throat. They're going for the win. And I think that was if they didn't have that, they had no chance of winning. But they had that. They played hard the whole game and they pulled it out.
Yeah, I think that they've shown that they can play defense. But the big concern here is going to be is can they score on the Georgia team and can they keep up? I think they got to make sure they don't fall behind. This is not a game where they'll be able to come back. They've come back in the past, but they're really going to have to make sure they get out ahead in this game. It's going to be their ability to move the ball and move it consistently on Georgia. And if they don't score, they need to use clock, because if it gets to a situation where they're going 3 and out, this might get over by halftime.
Yeah, so Melissa said something. Melissa Treebwasser has been on a lot of Mark shows lately, and she was on the Young Guns multiple times. Those of you who haven't checked out the Young Guns yet, you should.
Follow Melissa on Twitter. She's awesome.
Follow Melissa on Twitter. But she said something to the effect of, once Michigan ran a Philly special and ran something that was kind of against their identity, they thought that they couldn't do it the normal way. And that's when it looked like the tide was already, like, TCU actually thought that they had a chance to win the game, because Michigan wasn't able to just pound it like they normally do. And that's probably partly because Blake Corum was out. Blake Corum was used as at times in the Hassan Haskins role this year, to pound it. When they needed 1 yard, he would get 2. If we needed 4 yards, he would get 6. And we kind of been missing that with Donovan Edwards is a great, general, obviously excellent running back, but I would say, we were kind of just missing that. And so they tried to get linebacker Khalil Mullings to play running back, which has been okay, but he's nowhere near the Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum level of being able to get those yards. So then they had to run a Philly special. So that's kind of what we saw there.
I don't know. I do believe Michigan, you guys started with that one run, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm worried for TCU.
Yeah,
first play of the game.
That was the one
then
play.
You guys got away from it completely. And that worked to TCU's advantage to a degree, and TCU just responded. So, props to the TCU. Both teams had equal turnovers. Other turnovers just turned into more points. And at the end of the day, props to TCU. I mean, props to them.
Absolutely. And they're a great team. They have a lot of seniors and super seniors on that team. So this is their moment to go all the way if they can. So, and capitalize on recruiting. And we're going to get back to the national championship discussion. We'll give our score predictions. We'll give our previews. But we're gonna move on to the Georgia Ohio State game, which went right up to midnight.
Before we do really quick, can I jump in? Michigan Man
course.
Jason, I saw you join. Excellent job. That's why we're all here, is for guys like you, Jason, to join the Patreon. You guys, if you enjoy the conversation, if you're there and listen to Mark Rogers lay down the college football lore, then you need to make sure you're joining the Patreon. It's $5 a month. Everyone on this panel you see right here is on the Patreon. If you'd like to join the panel, the easiest way to join the panel would be to join the Patreon. So please, you guys, if you're out there, you haven't joined yet, $5 a month. The link is in the description.
Thanks, Tim. And absolutely right. $5, and you too can be on the After Dark panel. You can chat with us on the Discord 24/7, 365. We have watch parties. We have stuff going on all the time. We'll have stuff going on the off season. Mark gives us betting guides, and there's a lot more coming. You can even talk about the topic with Mark Rogers and Steve Dace's new show, The One. Patreon members get an exclusive opportunity to help decide what the topic is going to be. So that's huge. You actually get to kind of almost help figure out what the big topic of the week is going to be. So huge stuff, and very few other Patreons at $5 offer that much stuff. I'm telling you right now. I've been around this for a while, and it's true. So thank you,
and it will
Jason.
really help the off.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it'll really help the off season go by a lot faster than you just trying to convince yourself of something.
Absolutely. And thanks, Ben, for putting in the link right there. Appreciate that. Cool. So Georgia, Ohio State. Credit to them. They played their best game. Georgia gets it, sneaks in at the end, 42-41. Here's my question. Is Stetson Bennett that dude, or is he just surrounded by so much five-star talent? Or is it both?
I think the narrative that Stetson Bennett is surrounded by just a bunch of five-star talent is a little overblown. I think especially when you look at Georgia's skill position talent, it's really not. They're all good players. They have good players. They're well coached, and that's kind of what stands out to me is they all, especially the receivers and tight ends. But other than Darnell Washington, I think Darnell Washington is the only pass catcher that was a consensus five-star coming out of high school. So I don't necessarily think that it's a group of like studs, at every position, but I think they fit the offense that Todd Monken wants to run. They're really extremely well coached. I mean, I went back and watched, some of their some of the play calling, some of the play designs that it's really some really cool stuff that they do. And they have guys that are they're willing to block. They run good routes, and they're really opportunistic, and they have a really good play caller that kind of just knows the right play for the right situations. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off of Stetson Bennett. I do think Georgia's offensive line also has been phenomenal this year and has given Stetson a lot of time, but he's at the end of the day, he's still got to make the throws. And I think, that last drive, I think was really indicative of, Stetson Bennett is he some high end NFL talent, and is he going to get drafted, high or anything like that? Probably not. But I think he's a very good college quarterback. He's been in the system a long time. He knows his players, and he has the belief of his teammates. And I think you kind of saw that. Look, I just spent like a whole minute, slobbering Georgia as a Clemson fan. I'm probably going to get if there were more Clemson fans watching this, they'd probably be screaming at me right now. But it's but no, I think Georgia. I think Stetson is really at this point. I mean, he's already won a national championship. He's won a bunch of games as a starter. I don't know what more you can say about him. He's a winner.
I think it's insane. Okay, well, sorry, John.
I just wanted to quickly honor this, if it's okay, to honor the super chat. So Kyle Pickett, MVP. Thank you for $50 super chat. We really appreciate that. I'd rather just give you all $10 each, YouTube percentage. Yeah. Well, we want to support Mark. So thank you for this, supporting Mark Rogers, supporting Voice of College Football. I've got no dog in this championship from the Southeast too, but something says TCU champs. This is what I'm saying. Nobody should underestimate this TCU program. So completely agree with that. And we have one from Michigan man Jason also for $5, who also just joined our Patreon. And for you, DeReal MVP, TCU 42, Georgia 38. So that's 2 straight super chats in a row predicting TCU, or one that's predicting TCU and one that has a hunch that TCU could win. It's pretty cool. Sorry, Will, I interrupted you. Just wanted to make sure we got that super
I think
chat.
it's incredible. Like Todd Monken, like the offense may not look like the most prettiest offense, but to score all the points that he does, like this man just like puts up points on the board. Like he put 50 on LSU and 42 on Ohio State. And only 27 on Tennessee, I guess, isn't that impressive. But like to get out what he does out of this offense, like the man could just put points on the board for his team. Like I'm not saying he's Lincoln Riley level, but I think he's slept on, man. Like that guy is impressive at just shredding defenses and making them lose their will to fight.
Absolutely. Something about Monken that people, I was telling people when he got hired, because there were some people who were questioning it due to the tenure at the Cleveland Browns with Freddie Kitchens. But people need to remember that Freddie Kitchens called those idiotic 4th and 9 run plays. It wasn't him. I thought that Monken kind of got a rough deal, and you saw what he did last year, won a national championship, and here we go again. And I do agree with you guys. And Jordan, you said this earlier. He's putting Stetson and the team in the positions to win games, including one against Ohio State, who was winning, I think, most of the game until like 2 minutes. So, oh my God, we got another one. Erica, yay.
This is also, sorry, this is the second one from Kyle.
Oh, we got a Kyle and an Erica. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Kyle
you.
put his prediction in for the upset earlier. I put that up there. I'll pop it up again.
I gave predictions earlier. Thank you, Kyle.
Man, Kyle he's dropping a hundo.
Dropping bank in here. I love it.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, we really do. Erica, thank you for the super chat. As an Iowa fan, I have to go for TCU. That's another one. Now, I know there's Georgia fans out there who might dispute some of this. Hey, Georgia fans, come on with your super chats. If you wanna, throw your piece in here, because we're TCU 3, Georgia nothing in the super chats. Awesome. All right. So I think that Ohio State did play their best game. They do play well in indoors and in domed stadiums, where the elements aren't an issue. But you have to give credit to CJ and the wide receivers for making it one hell of a game. I mean, especially Marvin Harrison Jr. and Igbuka. They're ridiculous. And they kept it. I mean, they looked like they had the game in hand for a lot of it, and credit to Georgia for pulling it out. But they played a good game.
And it just goes to, I mean, that was probably the best game I've seen CJ Stroud play in his entire career. I mean, he's had a great career at Ohio State by any objective means, but I thought that he really cemented himself as one of the top quarterbacks, coming up in this draft. And I thought he played extremely well. And it's a shame that, Ohio State's defense, which has been the thing that, for the past couple of years has been a point of contention for a lot of fans. And, they brought in Jim Knowles to kind of shore up a lot of the issues on defense. And when they needed a stop, that they weren't able to get it. And I think I know that's got to be frustrating, for Ohio State fans, because anytime you score 41 points, you should expect to win. It doesn't matter who you're playing. If you get into the 40s, that you should win the game. If the defense is doing half of what they're supposed to, and they didn't. They had some major busts in the secondary. I remember that long touchdown to Arian Smith. He was wide open. Like I think they put, was it Lathan Ransom? They put a safety on him. I'm like, Arian Smith legit probably runs a sub 4.3. Like he's like that fast, and you just let him get behind you on the defense. It's stuff like that. You have to. That's got to be frustrating as a fan. Trust me, I don't. I don't necessarily sympathize with Ohio State fans for obvious reasons, but I know that's got to be that's got to be annoying and frustrating because they played a hell of a game, but it was just a great game for watch.
As not a fan, as not a fan myself, Jordan, as of any of these teams, they were both nail biters, and for us as fans, not of these teams, it was fantastic to watch. For those fans that lost, not so much. But for everyone else, it was quite spectacular.
Absolutely. And obviously those two were the ones that get all the headlines and ESPN and everything else. But there were some other bowl games that happened in New Year's Six bowls and things like that. So I got 3 here.
Are you sure? I don't know. I think that was it. Just those 2 were played.
Oh, sorry. Well, I guess show's over.
Was there another game that weekend?
So we also had the classic.
There was a third one. There was a third one. Yes, there was.
We had the classic Rose Bowl, and I still hope to get to the Rose Bowl Stadium at least once in my life. Penn State wins that game against Utah, 35-21. Made some insane plays to win that game because Utah's, as we know, a very, very good football team. So beating them is not something that's easy to do. Where do we think that this shakes out in the Rose Bowl histories and specifically does this put the Big Ten back in a better position? So what do you guys think about the Rose Bowl?
It just sucked that Cam Rising got hurt again in the Rose Bowl. I mean,
yes,
that was the main takeaway for me.
Last year, Willie, he got hurt at the very end of the game, and actually his backup went down and scored a touchdown. So in essence, really, it came down to their defense on that one. But I'm with you. Clearly, Utah is not the same team without Cam Rising. We watched that guy sit back there and just get hammered. And so, but I have to say, I honestly, John, did not give Penn State the credit they deserved. A lot of people were saying, who they played. The only 2 good teams they played, they got smoked by, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to admit, I kind of fell into that camp. But it was pretty darn amazing that they came athletically with speed on both sides of the ball. And I didn't see that. I didn't think they had that speed. I knew they'd be a tough Big Ten team. I thought that's what I expected to see. I did not expect to see the speed out there that I saw, which was very impressive for James Franklin's crew.
Yep.
Yeah. Utah was pretty decent until Rising went out. And then you saw Penn State just attack. And they couldn't do anything after that. It was hard. It was hard to watch after Rising went out for Utah, unfortunately, because it was a game at that point. But, I mean, that's how it goes. You play the game for those reasons. Injuries happen. And sucks for Utah 2 years in a row like that, though.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's tough when your quarterback goes out. Obviously, your signal caller and that kind of beating heart of the offense. But you got to give Penn State a lot of credit. Nicholas Singleton had himself a crazy game. It was an 87-yard run in there. And Sean Clifford had an 88-yard pass play in the fourth quarter. So you had the run working and you had the pass working. Yeah. And that's usually a pretty good formula.
And that's the speed I was talking about. You could talk about opt-outs, and you can tell they were missing guys on both sides of the ball. No Kincaid, no Clark Phillips. And I know that Penn State was also missing, I believe, a corner. Were they missing a corner and a receiver? I can't remember who they were missing. But
Parker Washington and Joey Porter Jr.
So I mean, it's the opt-outs kind of, I don't know if they wash out because obviously if you're opting out, you're usually a first day pick usually. So I was more interested to see the fact that maybe Utah wasn't the right team. Like maybe Washington. See, what some people might not realize is there was a weird three-way tie in the Pac-12. So USC came out on top, and then there was a three-way tie for second place in the Pac-12, and it was between, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it was Washington, Oregon, and Utah. And the way it came out in this crazy tiebreaker, because they all kind of beat each other, was that Utah got through. So I've heard a lot of people, and even in the media, which was kind of surprising, saying that the best team in the Pac-12 lost to a third place team in the Big Ten. Which, I mean, maybe Utah is the best team in the Pac-12 with a healthy rising. But what I saw from Washington was probably they might be the best team, like most complete team in the Pac-12.
That sounds about right, Tim, because, without the divisions, Utah and USC got to match up for the title. But, you had Oregon 9-3 who beat Utah and Washington at 10-2. So, that sounds about right. There was a weird title. Without divisions, we couldn't separate North and South.
Yeah, and so with the second, first through fourth place is a toss-up.
Instead for the title.
I think your internet's going.
Yeah, Ben, you're kind of crackling there.
All right, John, what do you got next for us? I don't want to ask because I know it's coming. Go ahead, say it.
Well, brace yourself. Because
I've been bracing myself for a while now. I'm ready.
The bowl of cotton is anything but soft. And we did see the Tulane barely beating USC. I'll say that, 46-45. Why did Tulane win this ball game?
Wait, hold on. We got to break in. Maybe we'll forget about what we're talking about. Thanks again, Kyle Pickett, for another $50 donation, raising the Mark Rogers Foundation $150 on the night. Well done. Thank you, Kyle Pickett. Go Noles.
Yeah, Mark.
And then we have another one from Michigan man Jason as well.
Wow.
My Detroit Lions are beating Green Bay 20-16.
Mark, if you're watching, don't read this.
If they win, we're in the playoffs. Go Lions. Is that true?
Yep.
No, the Seahawks are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Go Pete.
Yeah. Wow. The Seahawks
and
Geno Smith might be in the playoffs.
And
the Jags. How about that? So that's a whole voice of NFL show we should probably have to just talk about all the crazy teams that are winning their divisions. But very cool. Thanks, Jason, for the $5.
The Jags winning was pretty bittersweet for me because I'm a Clemson and Titans fan, so that was awkward watching that game. But happy for T-Law and ETN getting to the playoffs in their second season, so that's cool. It's amazing what how much of a turnaround a player can make, a quarterback, especially when they have a competent coach on the field. So
crazy what happens when you go from somebody who hasn't coached in the NFL to somebody who won a Super Bowl.
All of a sudden, one overall pick doesn't look like a bust anymore. Interesting.
Trevor's got some help now.
Yeah.
All right, Cotton Bowl. So what is here's my question. We all know that the offense of USC is extremely, extremely good, and that the defensive line, I think, is pretty good because USC got our defensive line coach. I think that he does a pretty good job. But what do we think needs to, what do we think happened there with the defense, and then how could that side of the ball get shored up a little bit? You think
the second level is terrible? It's awful. Yeah. It's awful.
You guys go ahead. I'll be in. I'll take my lumps in a minute. I'm still updating the banner real quick.
I mean, it really just comes down to that. They just need more, better players there. I know that Alex Grinch is, taking a lot of heat, but I don't know. I just you watch that game and it's like, well, it's the scheme is bad. I don't think that's the problem. I think, it's a lot of fundamental issues that USC has. Like they don't tackle well. They don't cover particularly well. And there's not really great communication on their assignments. They give up a lot of big plays. And they just can't really compete with anybody right now with some of the guys they have on that roster. So it's gonna have to change with recruiting, and obviously the transfer. They're leveraging the transfer portal as anybody right now. So we'll have to see. But yeah, that was brutal. That was that fourth quarter for you was about as bad a defensive performance as I've seen this season. So that's just got to be that's something that they're gonna have to shore up. But hey, I was happy for Tulane. I was rooting for him just because it was a great story, and it was cool to see the underdog. The team that won 2 games last season, flip it around. I mean, Willie Fritz. What can you say about the job that he's done for that program? So it was a great game to watch, though. In general, I wasn't. It seemed like it was going to get away from Tulane like in the second quarter, but they really rallied back and made it a ball game. So it was a fun game to watch.
Oh, come on! No one else wants to pile on. Get in there. Come on, Will.
I'm honest. This is my honest opinion as a Notre Dame fan. Why weren't we able to do this against USC? Why couldn't we beat USC? I was more frustrated than anything because our second level this year has also it's taken a massive step down from last year. Because Freeman was our linebackers coach in DC, and this year is Golden, and a lot of people aren't happy with Golden and what he did with the defense. I think they underachieved massively this year. So that was I'm like, why couldn't we do this to USC? But it's year 2. We got to see better results from Grinch with the better talent coming in. And if he's the guy, then the Trojans will be much better on defense and on the second level. Even though I'm not sure. Orlando's your linebacker coach? Is that it? Tim?
What? Todd Orlando?
Yeah. So he might need to go as well. I know Matt was talking about that. It might be his time to go. So we'll see. Maybe they replace the linebacker coach and get better.
I think it's Odom's
Oh yeah, used to be. He went to FAU and USF. So
That's right. I couldn't remember. I knew the name sounded familiar. I didn't know if they got rid of him or
not. Come on, Ben. You're a duck. You want to get in here? Get in. Let's go. Ben?
Oh, he might be working on his internet.
Oh, I'm still lagging. But,
oh, okay, there it is.
No, yeah, I'm still lagging. I probably should, but it was like I put in the chat. I mean, that last touchdown, as soon as they got the safety, I was like, USC's lost. That's it. Everyone in the crowd went, oh no, that's it. It's over. Like everyone just looked distraught on the USC side. It's just, I don't know. It was kind of, you saw it from Michigan too, with the kind of how that first quarter, and everyone was like, what is happening? And every time Michigan or TCU respond, it was that same look of going, oh no.
Yeah.
It was a great game. I'm not going to diss on USC for having won a great fucking season. But if you're a USC fan, it had to have been like several games this year when teams came back and made it like 7-point game, even if you won. It had to be kind of like a repeat of those games where you went, oh no. Uh-oh. So, yeah, it was probably hard to watch. For a fan perspective who's not a fan of either team, it was an amazing game, though. Amazing game, down to the wire. And you saw two teams battling it out.
Yeah, I agree with all you guys' comments. The weak link on the defense, I think you're right, John, and I think that Nua's done a great job on the defensive line. We were leading the country in sacks and tackles for loss, and we got a guy in Tui Pelotu, who's Marlon's little brother. Tuli was an afterthought when his brother was a big 4-star. He was a little 3-star. He came in, and he flashed last year, and what Nua did with him probably played him into the first round, definitely first-day pick, probably more like a second-round pick. But he's a great coach. So the line has been good, but the problem on the line is we've had a bunch of 3-star players, but the coaching on that level was good, and those guys played out of their minds and they played a solid season. Where I've had the problem is that our linebacking crew is an absolute. That's where your weaknesses is right there. They're not getting those run fits. We thought we had problems at the beginning of the year. We thought we figured that out, but clearly we didn't. And then finally, the secondary has been okay because we led the country also in interceptions. So it's hard for me to crack. So I think the defensive line getting the pressure, and then the back end making those interceptions. Where are we seeing our problems in the run game? If you're a Utah fan out there, you know that Kincaid just lived right there over the middle. And that after the Utah game, offensive coordinators are licking their chops, knowing that's right in the middle is where they're going to be able to feed all year long. And that's what happened here. Willie Fritz is he's not new to this game. He's been a head coach for 40 years, right? He exploited. And if a feel-good story for you, it is this Tulane team and Willie Fritz. I was really happy for them. I don't think the game was over when they had that long pass that made it an 8-point game. I really didn't, because they weren't able to stop. I mean, USC did not punt until a safety. If you want to count as a punt, USC didn't punt in this game. They did miss that long field goal, which was odd because they kicked the field goal and it was on 4th and 3, and they decided to go kick a field goal, a 52-yard field goal, instead of going for it. That was a bit weird when the other team wasn't able to stop you. And even on their last drive, USC had 3 chances, and I know USC will never get any sympathy from anyone. But if you notice, USC was getting sacks. But if you watch that 3rd and 4th down, Tui Pelotu, the guy I was telling you about, literally gets bear hugged and tackled on 3rd down, which was 3rd and 10. I know fans bitch about holding calls. Oh, there's holding on every play. There's holding and holding every play, and then there's literally like a WWE SmackDown takedown. And there's a difference between the two. But at the end of the day, USC had a chance to salt this thing away. And as much as we're going to crack on, we should crack on Grinch and his defense. The problem in this game is USC had the ball. Yeah, you're at your goal line, right? You played really conservative. You get the Heisman winning quarterback, and you don't use him on that goal line. Roll him out. I know he wasn't 100%, but maybe some kind of pass play, running the ball right at the middle clearly wasn't the thing when we have 2 new offensive linemen and 3 guys playing out of position. Literally nobody except for the left tackle, and even he was a backup, was playing their natural position at the end of the game because we lost our starting left tackle who got hurt in the 4th quarter. So short story is USC needs to make some changes. I don't think they're going to, all the USC fans out there hoping they're to get rid of Grinch. They're not getting rid of Grinch. We'd have heard something by now if that was the case. Year one. There's a lot of things, though, that if you are a USC fan, look forward to. The fact is they made a killing in the transfer portal on defense this year. In the past, it's been done, through the offense. But on offense, they got Marshawn Lloyd, who's also the number 1 running back in the transfer portal. But the big thing is they got Mason Cobb. Mason Cobb is a tackle machine from Oklahoma State, and he's coming in along with another really good corner. We're losing our corner in Mekhi Blackman to the NFL, but we'll be getting Christian Roland Wallace. So the end of the story is there's help on the way. Is Grinch the answer in long run? Right as of right now, it's not looking good. Especially giving up that when they had that play, it was a 36-yard kick return, and then they threw that touchdown. They're down 15, and then they throw an 80-yard or a 70-yard touchdown pass, and just runs right through our defense for the make it a 1-score game. That was pretty much all you need to see about Grinch's defense. If they would have just held them, forget keeping them down the end zone, just kept them from scoring on one play, maybe they'd run out of time.
Yep. I've been saying all along that I was thinking it was going to be an 11-1 regular season because of Caleb Williams. Had Caleb Williams stayed at Oklahoma, probably not. I would have probably predicted 9 or so 8 or 9 wins. That's how good he is. But he doesn't play defense. And
unfortunately, though, he was injured. Although he played this game, he was not 100%. We haven't seen. To answer your question, Will, why couldn't we beat this team? Why couldn't we beat this team? Is because Caleb was at 100% in your game. And I think if he had been 100% in the Utah game and in this game, I think we'd be talking a different story right now.
It's fair. So before we go to next bowl game, we do have a super chat from new Patreon supporter, Michigan man Jason. Wow. So we are going to be talking about Texas A&M's questionable hiring later, and we're going to be talking about Jim Harbaugh later. But I don't know if either of the two that you're recommending or asking about are going to be considered, especially Urban, because they hate each other. I mean, they really hate each other. So I don't see any
As a
possible.
non-Michigan fan, I hope neither of them for your sake.
Yeah. Oh Lord. All right. So we got one more kind of bowl, and Ty Guy isn't here, but I do have up the Sugar Bowl. Bama taking care of business against K-State, but give credit to K-State. They had a strong beginning in that game, but it reminded me a lot of when Michigan played Bama. So when Michigan played Bama, as we remember from 3 years ago, it was tight in the first half. Michigan was even ahead, and then Bama, they do Bama things, and then they wind up winning the national title the next year. So I wasn't too mad about that. And here K-State, you put up a good fight, but Bama was pissed. They wanted to be in the playoff, and they played everybody, or at least I think they played everybody. They played their quarterback, and they played some other folks. So is this does Nick Saban trying to hold the line on this whole getting people ready for the draft if they're first round picks? I mean, is this something where maybe people will see this and then they'll continue they'll consider playing in the game if it's a New Year's Six bowl, because I feel like he's kind of going against the trend there with Alabama.
Well, this is the idea that I pitched on the one with Steve and Mark, and I sent a super chat and I asked them about this. I think they should do NIL deals, where in the contract it says you won't get the full payout unless you play in the bowl game. So I think that school should try to do that to try to save the bowl games and make them all more watchable for the fans. Because the Purdue game with Purdue's opt-outs, that game wasn't watchable, and I was very sad watching Brian Kelly win that game. So.
And that's a great plug, by the way, everybody. There's a new show with the voice of college football called The One, where Mark Rogers and Steve Dace have a no-holds-barred face-off every week on a single topic, and then you can send in a super chat and ask a question about that topic or something else, and they'll tackle it. So if you're a Patreon member, you even get to contribute to the topics. So you can throw in a topic idea and they might pick it down the line. Kyle, thank you again. Ben is working on his internet, but we appreciate the support tonight, man. It really does mean a lot.
And remember, Kyle, this isn't going in our pocket. This is going to the Mark Rogers Foundation. So we do this.
Yeah.
We do this because we love Mark and we love and we're trying to support the Patreon community. Really love, Kyle, $5 a month. You could join the Patreon and come talk to the knuckleheads all you want. It's $5 a month, you guys. Please give it a think. Thanks again, Kyle, for the $40.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
Whew. I love it.
I love it. Any final thoughts on Bama K-State? Pretty much they took care of business. And
yeah, I was excited when Deuce had that run at the beginning, though. I'm like, all right, is this going to be a game? Is this going to be a game? No, Bama's too good.
No. Yeah, he had that one real. Yeah, he ripped off a good one there.
Yeah, Bama has too many athletes.
I noticed that the teams that face Bama, they usually do have a couple of. They can pull off a couple of big plays in the beginning, and then once they make their adjustments, then it gets a little harder. But you see that a lot in like the first play of the game, or first drive, second drive, that the team that's opposing Bama in a game that you don't think they're even gonna contend in much. They do strike, and maybe they'll get a touchdown, or maybe they'll get a field goal or whatever, and then Bama responds quickly.
I think they got deflated because before the half, Bama scored a touchdown, but K-State was at 4th and goal, didn't get it. Bama went down, scored right before the half. I think that really kind of crushed K-State's kind of momentum because they were going in to make it like a 3 or 4 point game, I think, at halftime. It would have brought it pretty close, but then it just got worse from there.
Yeah. It was pretty much classic Bama against an opponent that they should take care of business with playbook, basically. That's what it looked like after that first kind of run that Will's mentioning here. This is a great time to ask this because we just finished that topic. So Erica, thank you for another $5. And Erica is an awesome member of our community. She's part of the Iowa community as well, and Corey's shows. Really appreciate that you come over here and hang out with us knuckleheads as well. So if Kirk grows some and gets rid of his son, or the AD in conjunction with Kirk, because I know technically with nepotism roles, it's the AD, right? But yeah, gets rid of his son. Who should he hire at Iowa to be OC and quarterbacks coach? Would love to hear your opinions as non-Hawkeye fans. Anybody?
I have a suggestion. Honestly, he's a really, really great guy. I'm really familiar with him. He spent a lot of time, at the team he's at now, and he's coached some really, really elite quarterbacks. He goes by the name of Brandon Streeter. I think he would be a phenomenal addition to the Iowa Hawkeyes football program. I can't vouch for him enough. I mean, he's coached Deshaun Watson. He's coached Trevor Lawrence. I mean, what more? Taj Boyd. Not really, actually.
No, even better. Jordan, you guys could just switch OCs. There you go. Right?
Hey, no, I'm fine. No, I think this is more of like a tax write-off. So I'm a charitable guy, and I think Clemson, Dabo is all about giving, and he built the program in God's name, image, and likeness. So I think this is just another step towards accomplishing that goal. So yeah, I think Erica, if Brian wants to hit up Brandon Streeter, I think that would be a phenomenal move for Iowa. I'd love that very much.
I'm throwing this out there. If they can poach Sharon Moore, I think that would be a great fit for Michigan to bring in the Michigan to Iowa connection, the Iowa Wolverine connection. If they could, I don't think he would leave, but you got to make that call if you're Iowa.
At a certain point, we just have to call it the Iowa Wolverines. If you're bringing over Sharon Moore, they're probably going to get Andrell Anthony and probably somebody else too before this is all said and done. Just call it the Iowa Wolverines and be done with it. I think Sharon Moore is in the running to be the head coach. So either that or he has one more year as OC line and then goes and becomes a head coach if he can't get a job. And there's Kyle Pickett again with 100 smackaroonies. Wow. I either got to give it away or the government takes it. Chat shoes. So, well, we'll take them. I'm also going to drop Mark's Venmo link in here as well. So if you want to throw him a Venmo, just because I know you mentioned the YouTube. There we go. Another one. Wow.
I think, great. I think Kyle's strategy is that he knows that if I have to type all this stuff in, that he can shut me up. I think he's just trying to shut me up constantly. So that might be a good strategy.
He's
making you do math on a Sunday night. He's making you add it all up.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so my next question is really about any other bowl games, whether your team played in them or interesting ones. Obviously, we have a couple of folks here who had a interesting bowl game. So since Jordan's shaking his head, we'll go with Will first. Thoughts on your game, or any bowl that you wanted to talk about.
Well, I think we can add the Palmetto Bowl to our trophy cabinet as well as the ACC Championship. No, I'm kidding. But, yeah, so South Carolina, they came up with all their tricks in the book to get an early lead on us. But after that, I mean, our defense wasn't great. Like, our linebackers were still bad. But I didn't feel like they really had anything. Once we started getting the game close and tied, I was pretty confident we would win the game. Tyler Buckner, he looked great. Like, you can see the talent there, but he just hasn't had much experience this season with the injuries. So, I mean, there's a lot of Irish fans that are excited about him and Sam Hartman quarterback battle. I think we'll have a great starting quarterback. If Tyler somehow beats him out and does, I think we'll have a hopefully top 10 quarterback in the country. And if Sam wins, hopefully he's top 10. So, and Mitchell Evans stepping in for Michael Mayer, catching the game-winning touchdown. Really excited about how the tight end room at Notre Dame just keeps bringing out these awesome guys that are just ballers. And Jordan Patojo also filling in for our other big opt-out for the draft. Isaiah Foskey looked good. So he has a bad injury history as well. So hopefully he stays healthy next year, because it would be really nice to have someone that's at least as close to being as good as the all-time sack leader at Notre Dame and the all-time tight ends leader. All-time tight end, great tight end. And like he's broken like every record. Even like Ken McAfee, who played with Joe Montana, was awesome, but his records have been smashed by Michael Mayer. So yeah, obviously the pick sixes gave me a heart attack. Honestly, I really thought only one of them was on Tyler. I felt like
I know how you feel, Will. I know how you feel.
Yeah, well, but all in all, we won. I'm happy. We're going to be great next year. Hopefully we can get back to the playoff. Hopefully 11-1. 10-2. Anything worse than 10-2 is going to be another massive disappointment. So really excited for 2023 Notre Dame. This offense should be the closest we've had since the 2015 team in offense. So hopefully the defense can't be much worse than that 2015 defense though. So
you know what that 2015 team did? They went down to Clemson and took a fat L.
Gosh, that game.
Notre Dame plays at Clemson next year. No,
I'm excited for that game, man. I'm excited.
Me too. But also
I want to try to go to all three big games. I don't know. I can probably only end up going to 2. But if I can make it down to Clemson and up to South Bend for both of those games, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So
absolutely. Listen, there's nothing like a going to the stadium once in a while and taking in a game. I finally got to do it after a bunch of years. I finally got to go back to the big house. So anytime you get to go back, it's great time. Will, you will like Thomas Harper.
Yeah, I'm excited. We got a big time. We got him from the portal as well. So I haven't had time to watch his tape. I've been mostly paying attention to the All-American Bowl, Under Armour All-America game coverage to see what all the Notre Dame guys would do. I need to eventually get to the Thomas Harper film as well.
Another one. We got Michigan man Jason, and yeah, if you have a comment or question, please send us a super chat. We're really rolling today, and we appreciate everybody. Nib high football rules. Okay.
I don't
know what that's a reference to. But we appreciate the $5.
Yeah, Michigan man, can you clarify that for us? Because I'm missing that as well. If you could let us know in the chat what you mean by nib high.
Yeah. So obviously we had a great game. Jordan, any bowl games you would like to talk about? Doesn't have to be the Clemson.
No, I don't know of any bowl games of significance that I can think of off the top of my head.
There's our answer.
Let's get it over with. Okay. Yeah. So the Orange Bowl was an epic meltdown mess of all proportions and sizes. And, when I was watching the game, nothing that happened in that game really, shocked me, because it was something, it was just things that I had seen, multiple times throughout the season kind of resurface themselves. So, poor play calling, poor offensive line play, and away from your, getting away from your best players in key moments in the game, not giving your defense any help, and then the defense playing with, an inexperienced secondary that got cooked towards the end of the game. Just that kind of stuff. You could have played that tape and then and lined it up with like the Notre Dame and the South Carolina game, and they would have looked pretty much identical. Only thing different was how the final scores played out. So this was Cade Klubnik's first start, true freshman quarterback. I don't know if anybody knows how many times he threw the ball that night, but
70 wasn't it? 70 times.
It might as well have been 70. It was 54. Now,
oh wow, okay.
I don't believe Trevor Lawrence, when he was at Clemson, ever threw the ball 50 times in a single game. Not as a freshman, not as a sophomore, not as a junior. That was pretty incredible. Just the kind of decision making there when you have running backs in the game that have been the backbone of your offense the entire season. To have your true freshman quarterback throw the ball 50 times when he's inexperienced and still has a lot to learn, he made a lot of mistakes that night. It was frustrating. I mean, Clemson, they had no problems moving the ball between the 20s. They owned the time of possession. They won the total yardage battle, but yards per play, they were really down. And when they got in the red zone, they missed 3 field goals, which is just a horrible way for BT Potter to end his career. He's probably the best kicker in Clemson history, statistically, and just it was just the same things that presented themselves in all of Clemson's other games, and especially their losses. Brandon Streeter after the game, he was like, "Yeah, looking back on it in hindsight, we probably could have ran the ball more." Yeah. I've heard that one before.
Especially when you have
after
Shipley.
South Carolina. Yeah, yeah, right. Will Shipley had I think he averaged 4.5 yards per carry. Phil Maffa, Clemson's second string running back, averaged almost 7 yards a carry. He didn't get the ball. He's Clemson's big power back, which you could have used when Tennessee is committing more bodies to the run. But all in all, I've been jaded on this offensive coaching staff, already. So this kind of just was confirmation that the staff still has a long way to go. I mean, Dabo's not making any changes, significant changes this offseason. So that they, look at this tape from this year and get a lot better. But, I don't necessarily have a lot of hope. But I don't want to make it all about Clemson because Tennessee had a phenomenal game plan. Joe Milton played, he had a phenomenal game.
Best game in his life by a million.
Yeah. Yeah, of course he had it against Clemson. That was the last thing I wanted. But Tennessee, they were just more opportunistic. They didn't have the ball very often, but they hit big plays. Joe Milton was timely with his passes, and they did just enough, and they were able to wear Clemson down at the end. And it was a really nice cap to a really resurgent season for Tennessee. They hadn't won, they hadn't had a 10-game season in like over 15 years. So just a big win for Josh Heupel in that program. They have a lot of momentum rolling in the offseason, and a lot of people thought that, hey, they've got Nico coming in as a true freshman, big time 5-star quarterback, and they were like, a lot of people expected him to just be the shoe-in to be the starter next year, but Joe Milton made a case for it. So that'll be an interesting storyline going into the offseason. But Tennessee has a lot of they're losing some talent, but they had some guys in this game that will be on this and that made some big plays. So they're going to be a really intriguing team in the SEC East next year.
Yeah, you got to give Heupel a ton of credit. You're playing a backup, a guy who got benched for Cade McNamara just a few years ago and made us almost lose to Rutgers in 2020. And he goes from that to what we saw in this game. I mean, you got like that guy that put on a coaching clinic.
Absolutely. So, it was kind of a disappointing as far as I was hoping for more fireworks from both teams. And, well, I mean, unless it was the opposite result, I was hoping for a more exciting Orange Bowl, the most orange bowl of all time. But, there's both, I think both programs, came away with a lot. They learned a lot about themselves in this game, and it'll be interesting in the offseason how, they respond. So congrats to Tennessee, because, that's a fan base that has been patient and for, to, come back to, what they were used to, as a, perennial college football powerhouse. So that's a huge step towards getting there.
Absolutely. And before we get to the Ducks, because I heard they also won a game potentially. We have another super chat. Thank you to Erica. And yeah, it does kind of seem like Kyle, whatever he did, win the lottery or however, we don't really care. We appreciate the love from everybody tonight. It's been really great. So thanks to Kyle, Erica, and everybody else.
Kyle said he invested in Bitcoin apparently earlier on.
That'll do it.
It has not gone bankrupt like a certain other internet money service.
Absolutely. Well, so Ben, got to give you your Ducks a little credit here. Pulled out the dub against UNC. So, what do you think the kind of the keys were to them pulling it out?
Well, first of all, I think like most of us here have the utmost respect for Mac Brown as a coach.
Absolutely.
He's been coaching for a long time. He has to hate playing the Ducks. I think he's like 0-3, 0-4 all time against the Ducks. Like he has to hate playing them at this point in time. But yeah, I was in Paris. I think I woke up at 2 a.m. because of doing our filming and traveling. I woke up 2 a.m, pulled on another game, and I was like, oh yeah, the Ducks are on in like an hour. I'll just stay up and watch this. And I was having a heart attack during the third quarter. So props to UNC. Was UNC, Jordan, do you know if UNC was missing any players? I think they were missing a receiver, I think.
Well, I know they were missing a ton of guys in the secondary. They were
missing their whole defensive line. Hold on. They were missing a lot of guys.
Was it their whole defensive line? I can't. I mean, that's why I was asking. I can't remember.
Oh no, you're right.
They had a couple of guys enter the portal. But it was their secondary that was really bad, banged up. Cam Kelly didn't play, and I know Storm Duck didn't play. I think Storm
Duck needs to come to us. Storm Duck needs to come to us. That would be just the epitome of a storyline right there.
Oh man, where did he end up? Did he enter the portal, or is he? I know Tony Grimes did. I think he committed to A&M.
Maybe, but yeah. Regardless, I mean, props to UNC won. They played that first half. It was kind of back and forth. UNC went with a 7-point lead. Then the Ducks defense showed up in the second half, allowing 2 field goals. And all of a sudden, without our OC, the two guys that were kind of mixing play calls just were like, screw it. Because Bo Nix is not still 100% either. His ankle is still not like fully there either. But he ran a little bit. But, hey, they made the plays when they needed to. And it came down to 4th and 2 from like the 5 with like 8 seconds left and scored a touchdown, or whatever it was. So I was like, heart attack, but I mean, I'll take a win as a win. As Erica had said earlier, it can be 1 point. A win is a win, and it was 28-27. I'll take it. I mean, it was a good game. So props to UNC, props to Mac Brown, all due respect to him. It didn't help the ACC records, but the Ducks had to represent for the Pac-12. We'll get on that later, John, as we were discussing before the show.
Hey! The ACC finished with a winning bowl record despite its 2 participants in the conference championship losing their bowl game. So,
damn it, UCLA! Damn it, UCLA!
Wow.
We won't get into that now. But back to Kyle Pickett here. Whoa.
Kyle Pickett. We're gonna have to start calling it Kyle. The College Football After Dark show sponsored by Kyle Pickett soon.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put his name in the title pretty soon.
Wow.
Kyle, I run a charity.
Presented by Kyle Pickett. Perfect. It's like a stadium.
Well, Kyle, I run a self-help charity. It's called For Myself. Can you cash out me some money? Like I could really use some right now.
No, thank you so much for the donation, Kyle. Donate. It reminds you to not hate the players, hate the game. Thank you, Kyle.
It's absolutely true. Okay, so we are going to be getting into national championship preview towards the end here, but we do want to cover a couple of things that have been happening. I'm calling it off-season shenanigans. So Jim Harbaugh, I have a whole video on this on my channel. Haven't been using my channel very much, but I have a whole video on this, so I won't cover it too much here. But basically, He's been showing some interest again in NFL teams. It apparently is interviewing with the Broncos this week. Had an informal, I would call it an informational interview with the Panthers that kind of went nowhere. But it seems like his camp is actively pushing for either an actual NFL offer that he takes or a ton of leverage to get whatever contract he wants at Michigan. Is he gone?
Well, you guys made him come begging back to take a pay cut and all that stuff. And, he's a Michigan man through and through, but I can't remember who it was. It's been kicked around by a lot of people, but can you imagine like Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner? Like he's talking about how he got to the playoffs and lost, but then, then his brother talks about it, just starts playing with his Super Bowl ring, right? That's gotta be gnawing at him a bit. Again, I knew a thing with trying to hold on to Pete Carroll was that he was always looking to the right opportunity to go to the NFL. These guys that, these NFL coaches or NFL coaches and any college coach, these guys have egos that could fill a stadium. You know what I mean? They really want to show what they can do. And some college coaches are able to go to the next level and be successful. And we've seen some go flame out. I think that Harbaugh is looking for his opportunity to get back to the NFL and be able to sit at Thanksgiving dinner playing with his ring as well. So I'm not sure what it means. I think most likely he's just trying to leverage some money. That would be my guess. But hey, man, John, if he gets the right situation, I think if he gets full control, and he thinks it's a team he can win with, I definitely think that eventually he's going to go. This year, I don't know, but I think he's definitely get some. I definitely think he's going to get some money. That's for sure.
Yeah, I disagree with the articles that say he's going to take any offer.
Yeah, no, he won't.
There's some that say any NFL offer and he's going to take it, and you've seen that out there the last week or two. And I don't think that that's the case. I think it's got to be he's got to have kind of like a co-GM with some power over the roster
and the right owner and the right owner, because that's only half of it. If you have the keys to the castle, but the castle's falling apart and the king's not going to give you any money, it's not going to do you much good. He's already been a one-time, well, he didn't even fail really. I mean, to say he failed is kind of a bit off, not the right comment. He just wasn't as successful as his brother. There you go. Successful as John. So right. I think that he's done better than a lot of coaches that came from the college ranks and went to the pros. I mean, some of them really flame out, but I think he's ready. And if he gets the opportunity, he'll go.
No one knows what a coach really wants, and no one's ever going to know exactly what he wants, because whatever he says is going to be, kind of hidden information and subtle. You're not really going to know what they really, really want. I'm going to assume it is partially money and a little control.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. And I would say I said this with Mark, probably to entertain some offers, but takes some type of raise for Michigan this year, and then next year goes to the NFL. I think he wants to finish out with JJ. So JJ's got one more year, and he's probably going to go to the NFL unless Michigan crashes and burns next year. He's probably going to go to the NFL. So I think he wants to finish out with JJ. At least that's my guess. Unless the right thing. I mean, if the Broncos plop $20 million a year down, then that's something. I mean, anybody I think would consider a job that pays them $20 million a year. I think everybody on this panel would consider that, and many others. So you gotta look at all your options. I think is the bottom line. So we also have Texas. This is the other one I have, and then anyone can throw in any others that they want. But Texas A&M has been on a tear lately with their hiring. Our own Tony Altamore has been making some graphics at some of the staff decisions that they've made, including some really funny ones. So check those out. But Petrino getting hired as the OC. I know that there was a lot of heat on Jimbo to give up play calling. Was that the hire that, when you have unlimited money, basically, you could get Dan Mullen, you could get whoever you could get Joe Brady potentially. I mean, there's options out there. Why Petrino? Anybody know?
no one wants to just walk into that dumpster fire. That's got to be really the only reason why Petrino was the best guy they can get. I mean, they basically were like, oh, and then Jimbo was like, when he heard Petrino was a dude, said he's all right. I'll throw some more gas into this dumpster fire. So I'm thinking that's the only thing that could really make sense about how Petrino's in.
Does Jimbo want the buyout? Is he just ready to? Is that what he's doing here? Is that the play? Just tanking the reputation and credibility of Texas A&M as a football program, so that they, it's too much and they just decide to, just cut their losses.
I mean, look, Petrino was very good offensively in certain positions, but look what happened to Louisville without Jackson. They sucked. Yeah. Then he got another scandal. What is going to happen at A&M? Is he going to be the play caller, or just give Jimbo a book who Jimbo throws back in his face and says, no, we're not doing it that way, or what? But at least Jimbo has updated his offense from 20 years ago to 8-9 years ago. So he is making progress. It won't be quite an archaic offense as people call it. So it is something, minus the backlash of Petrino's history.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's just see what happens. I mean, obviously the recruiting, he's brought in a lot of 5 stars, but he's also lost a lot of 5 stars because the last year's crop, some of them transferring out. So who knows? But we finally made it to national championship discussion. Obviously, we've got an interesting matchup. TCU could win their first national title since the before the World War II era. So that's a potential. Could TCU actually win this game?
I don't want to go first. I don't want to go
in
first.
College football, anything is possible, right? I mean, it can happen. But in order for TCU to beat Michigan, they needed 2 picks. They needed a lot to happen, right? I mean, anything can happen in a game. We've seen it. If a team shows up flat, I don't think any team's going to show up flat for a national championship again. I don't think Kirby Smart's going to let these guys show up flat. He's probably firing them up saying, it doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen very often. Alabama's only done it once where you repeat, and in the playoffs, would this be the first back-to-back? I think it would be. So, this is a moment in history for this team, and I don't think they come out flat. That being said, there is a huge talent discrepancy on both sides of the ball. Which one? Then you could also go into the question about, who's hungrier, right? And there's a lot that goes into these games, but you don't win as many games as Kirby Smart has done. You don't keep these guys up hyped the way they do, keeping away from their press clippings. The only way that they lose this game is if they turn the ball over a lot. That's the only way I see this game going to TCU. I think TCU will play a good game. It's the battle. It's David and Goliath, right? You've got super amount of talent on one side and very limited talent on the other side. They've got ballers and they've got guys that'll play hard, but do they have NFL bodies? And that may be the difference in this game.
I think they do, but it's 5 versus 50.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben. Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
All right, we're going to do that. All right. No, but I was thinking that for TCU to have a chance, and it's going to have to be the same thing that that had to happen for them against Michigan, but probably twice or 3 times as much. I mean, they're going to need to force turnovers. I think something that kind of went under the radar in that TCU Michigan game was that TCU was able to they were able to get spring explosive runs, and they were able to get some get things going in the run game. No one has been able to do that against Georgia this year. I think that's probably the biggest difference is just the bodies up front. That's one thing that Georgia under Kirby Smart has always done well is stop the run. And when you're one dimensional like that, I mean, it makes things hard. I mean, Duggan, legitimately throw it 40 plus times in this game. And so I think TCU's best shot on offense, get the ball in your best, your best player's hands. That's Max Duggan. That's Quentin Johnston. He needs to get a ton of run in this game. I think he needs to get a lot of targets. I think he's the one, guy on that offense that really poses, a matchup issue, especially for Georgia's corners. So, and obviously Kirby Smart's not stupid. He's going to game plan for it, but you've got to find ways to get Quentin Johnston the ball. And defensively, you just gotta. I don't know how well TCU really is going to match up there either. Obviously, they're at a disadvantage on the lines of scrimmage. I think the best you can hope for is, Bennett makes some mistakes, forces some turnovers. Because I mean Georgia's going to move the ball, so limiting explosive plays and all that all that stuff that everybody preaches is going to be huge. But it's a really tough challenge on both sides of the ball. But if TCU gets those breaks, it could happen. But they have to capitalize on any of Georgia's mistakes and really make all those plays. So, but it'll be interesting. I'm still going to be watching very closely. So.
Yeah. There's people saying about disrespect for TCU. I mean, I'm not just after what happened in the playoff. I think TCU is one hell of a team. I just think that in our game, they got a lot of things that went their way. But whether it was JJ throwing 2 pick sixes and they capitalized on those, whether it was the Philly special that was just complete and total idiocy, whether it was, I'm sorry, I'm going to bring this up, but the officiating a little bit on that touchdown probably should have had another 7 points on the board. But regardless, TCU got a lot of breaks. They are also a very good football team. Both can be true. But against Georgia, I think I'm feeling somewhere in the 38-27, like the 38 Georgia, 27 TCU. TCU is going to score. Georgia's just going to score a little more.
This is tough because it's like Michigan. Honestly, I think I picked TCU to beat Michigan just because I was kind of like rooting for TCU, but I picked Georgia, and then I picked Georgia ultimately to win it. But seeing what TCU did against Michigan's run game, I think that might be the big difference maker. Is if TCU can hold up to Georgia's run game the way they did Michigan's, because outside that one run, Michigan couldn't do anything on the ground for the most part. Really, for the most part. I'm still going to lean Georgia personally, but I think it will be closer than people think. But I think it'll be a good game no matter what. And regardless of who wins, who loses, props to both teams, one, for a spectacular season and some thrilling games, especially in the playoffs. Some absolutely thrilling playoff games, because I'm sure that excited all of us as fans.
Absolutely. And we do have Mark Rogers in the chat too, giving his appreciation for Kyle tonight. And Kyle, really appreciate everything that you've your contributions tonight. Really, they go a long way. I mean, Mark does a lot to kind of make this channel happen, keep everything going, all the content that he puts out there. And we just do, like Tim said, we do this just to help him. We're all here just to help. And all the money goes to the Mark Rogers Voice of College Football Fund, so that we can continue having great content, great shows. And most of y'all are post-game or pre-game or some other show on one of our channels. So subscribe, like this video, subscribe to Voice of College Football, subscribe to the Oregon, USC, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan, and the other team channels. And if you would like to really contribute as well, throw a Patreon subscription our way.
And Kyle Pickett's been around. Kyle Pickett's been around for a long time. His support of Mark, I've seen it for a while now.
Yeah.
And it's greatly appreciated. But so are all the contributions from Michigan man Jason and Erica as well. If I'm forgetting anybody, I do apologize. But thank you all for being here as well. And if you could just take a second, another way you can help out Mark in the community is just go and take a second and hit that like button really quick if you have a second. We really appreciate everyone being here tonight. But again, thank you so much for supporting the channel with all of your super chats. And a special thank you to Kyle Pickett for $440 tonight. That's very special. Thank you.
Absolutely. So any final words on TCU score predictions? Anybody feeling bold enough to give a score prediction?
I'm going to go 50-34 Georgia.
Okay.
Whew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if they can stop Todd Monken's offense with their defense. But I think they'll put up some points of their own. Because that defense didn't look like world beaters against Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of field goals either. I wasn't overly impressed with TCU's red zone defense. So TCU is going to need to, if they want to keep this close, especially the first half, they cannot settle for field goals. If they start kicking a couple field goals here and there in the red zone, this thing's again, it's going to be over quick. They can't afford to fall behind. I remember earlier I said the only way they're going to win this game with probably +3 or +4 in the turnover, and that also means putting those in for touchdowns, not settling for field goals. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great game early, but I just, if you've watched this Georgia team like I have, I mean, they don't lose, and they're playing teams that are a hell of a lot better than TCU. No offense, TCU. I'm not taking a shot at TCU. I think TCU is a solid program. What they've done, turned their program around, going from 4-8, I believe. Now they're going into the playoffs. I just think that it's an amazing achievement. And I think I'd be saying this about almost any team at this point going against this Georgia team. I don't know if TCU will be able to do what Ohio State was able to do with their passing game and their elite athletes at quarterback and at receiver. That's going to be the difference in this. Can Duggan throw the ball? I know that guy's a gamer and he can run the ball, but that's going to run right into Georgia's strength of their team. They got to throw the ball.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead because we're heading towards the end of the show. So this is the point in the show when we all give our final thoughts and where can people find you on the internet. So why don't we start with Will ND?
Yeah, thanks so much again for having me on, guys. A lot of fun as always. We're going to be doing Jeopardy soon tonight after the show on Young Guns and Tide Guy. So check that out. And I'm going to be trying to do a full breakdown of all the recruits that Notre Dame's got, as well as the transfer portal once the portal closes. So I'm going to do a little studying this week and then try to get a stream out on that. It should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And I'm just putting in here the Young Guns. Which I just want to give you a compliment, and I think that there's Buckeye Mike in here as well. You guys really did a great job in pulling in talent and pulling in YouTubers from a lot of the different bowl games that were happening. I thought it was really cool to see all of it. Obviously, I got to be on the Michigan one, but great job, and everyone should check out the Young Guns. I think it's a great time.
Yeah, we did one more preview with Melissa for the championship, and that was awesome. So if you guys can look at that, that'll be very appreciated.
Absolutely. One more before we go to Jordan. Kyle Pickett, the point when we all give. Yes, we would love it. If you give a super chat while we're still doing goodbyes, then we'll make sure that we read it on air. Otherwise, obviously, you can Venmo if you want to support Mark. I'll throw the Venmo link. You can shoot him a Venmo. But any amount helps. Or even listen. I understand. I've been in pretty much every financial situation you can think of, and sometimes liking and subscribing. You know what? That's free. And if that's what you can do, like anything you could do to just show appreciation for Mark and what he does would just be amazing. So thank you all for whatever that you're able to make happen. But Kyle, MVP of the night for sure. Jordan, final thought, where can people find you?
Yeah, so like I said at the beginning of the show, you can find me on the Clemson Voice of College Football channel. Me and Tiger Paw Craven, we do weekly live shows, pre-game and post-game during the season, but during the off-season, we're going to be doing at least one weekly live stream, and we talk everything. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Really good stuff over there. And I've seen a few people in the comment section that have visited. So we'd like to see more. All fans are welcome. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a phenomenal, inaugural season of this show. And here's to a great national championship game tomorrow. Well, it's at least if you're an Eastern time person, technically tonight. So here's to a great national championship game.
Absolutely. So those of you in chat, I'm putting links in here. Please subscribe and to all of them. So whenever you see a link come in, just follow or subscribe to that. So I put in the Clemson one. I just put in Jordan. I put in your Twitter. Please follow Jordan on Twitter and see what he's up to, because he's doing a lot of stuff all over the internet for college football. So appreciate that. We have another
Erica,
super chat. Yes, $5. I'd like to, for a change, brag about my team. Our offense sucks, but our defense is number 2 in the country for total defense. It is. Phil Parker does a great job. And here, my fingers are crossed for you that the offense will be, I think it's going to be serviceable next year with Cade, Eric All, probably Andrell Anthony coming in. You've still got, what's his face? The other tight end that I'm blanking on right now, but you're going to Lachey, who's also going to be on the other side. So you should have at least a slightly more serviceable offense, and that's really all you need to get to playoff. If you're Iowa, like you need to get because the defense is all time. You just got to get that offense up. So
go Hawks, Erica. You are absolutely the number 1 Iowa fan in my book. So appreciate you always being here, support. And again, with the super chats, I'm sure Mark really enjoys that. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Erica. And now Tim, we're on to you.
Oh, I was typing it in.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you guys all for being here most of the year. Again, I see a lot of the same names every week, and it's really appreciated, the support you give Mark and his channel. I think that the game tomorrow could give us some surprises. If I've learned anything in all the years of watching football, is you don't take anything for granted. Anything can happen tomorrow. So hopefully everyone's going to tune in with friends and family and enjoy a good football game, because that's really what it's all about. Thank you to the panel. You guys are always awesome. Appreciate being here. You guys can also find me on Wednesday nights for the Pac-12 show at 7:30. And on the post-game show, the USC post-game show, which will be sometime next year. I think we're still going to be doing some USC shows throughout the winter. So Trojan fans out there, feel free to join Rick and Tony and myself for those. And then for the Pac-12 show, we add in every week, we have Chris TBM join us. And it looks like Kyle wants to make it even 500 by throwing in the $10. I never say Go Knowles in chat. Well, go Knowles, because I know you're a Knoll. So thank you so much for your stuff.
Thanks a lot, Kyle, for all night throwing the stacks around. We appreciate you. All righty, Ben.
All right. Hopefully my internet holds up. I just posted my link in there and then closed that screen because I think that was slowing things down on my end. So, yeah, once again, it has been a great first season as we kind of test trialed this whole thing and saw how it went. And I've appreciated everyone here from the Discord who has come on consistently. When I'm not here, you guys have taken over and been able to run it. John has done a great job. People have been consistently showing up. The people in the chat that help run the show, all the super chats, the likes, Mark for giving us this platform on the Voice of College Football main channel. It's been a hell of a year, and tomorrow night will be, I think, an amazing finale to the regular season and the bowl season as a whole. So please, also next week we will be here as we do a 2022 college football recap of the whole season, like best games of the year, most exciting team analysis type of thing, a little deep dive as kind of I don't want to call it finale for the show for the year, but we'll take it from there. Let's put it that way. But it's great to see everyone here. I, again, am Ben of Exploring with Ben and Sam. I dropped my link in the chat earlier. I appreciate anyone who wants to click it and take a look. And if they want to, definitely follow us or on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. I appreciate it. But to usually the man of the hour who helps control our nonsense, John, take it away.
Oh boy. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Thanks everybody on the panel. Wow, what a season, and we still got another game, national championship. So let's enjoy that and savor it. Officially tonight. So now it's at least here in the Eastern time tonight. But yeah, thanks everybody in chat. Obviously, Kyle, you're amazing. Erica, Jason, everybody who gave contributed, or if you just like the video, if you subscribed, Jason just joined the Patreon. So whatever it is, it helps. So even if you can just hit the like button and that's all that you're able to do right now, then we appreciate that. But whatever it is, thank you for coming on and doing this. You can find me. I just popped in, or I'm about to pop in my YouTube channel. So I did just post a video in the YouTube channel about Harbaugh, because people kept asking me, what do you think is going to happen? I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe this is a good use of my channel. So check that out. And then obviously, if you feel like following me on Twitter, you can do that too. But that's me. Go Blue. And for everybody here, thanks for coming on and joining us tonight.
See you guys next week.